Society has a non-negotiable impact on the actions of those living in and through it. What sort of things was society facing during the time of Emma Goldman that impacted her so heavily? The first Red Scare had undoubtedly the most impact on Goldman of any event ever in her life. Race hysteria surrounding topics of immigration, especially Russian immigration, and anarchism in general, encouraged Goldman to speak up. Emma Goldman used the opinions against her to draw more attention to the immigrant experience in America. The story of Emma Goldman gives us prime examples, not only of how hysteria results in harmful treatment of minorities, but also shows how reacting to such hysteria can be used to motivate the oppressed and wrongfully accused.
I decided to devote myself to the presentation of anarchism, a social philosophy which aims at the emancipation, economic, social, political, and spiritual of the human race.
Women in the American Story details how Emma Goldman was an activist, born to a Russian and Jewish family in Konov, Lithuania, 1869. Being Jewish, without a way to navigate poverty issues and growing up in an abusive household helped her develop a voice for the oppressed. She later moved to Russia, where she began to study political radicalism at a young age. Later on, she barely escaped to the U.S. after being threatened to be set up in an arranged marriage at only 16 years old. In her autobiography, Living My Life, she depicts how she believed her immigration to America would be a positive experience of new beginnings, a belief that would quickly fade into an old dream. This awakening pushed her to use her voice and develop writings to support her beliefs.
More of the stories in Living My Life include that of the Haymarket Affair. The Haymarket Affair began simply as a citywide strike across Chicago, where workers were protesting for 8-hour workdays. Across the city, workers of all professions and trades gathered peacefully. Their intentions were pure, and their goal was reasonable. According to an article from the Omaha Daily Bee, these workers believed that with solidarity they could accomplish anything, and they may have been successful if not for the violent turn that the strike took. During the third day of the strike, striking workers clashed with police members, resulting in several demonstrators wounded or even killed by these officers. Many strikers were outraged. This encouraged further violence from the strikers. The next day, the fourth and last day of the strike, a group of labor activists are forced to end a meeting being held near Haymarket Square. It is after the forceful breakup of the meeting, of which Goldman was in attendance, that a bomb was detonated, killing one police officer, several demonstrators, and wounding many others of both parties.
She had just gained her U.S. citizenship following her marriage to Jacob Kirshner. Goldman, a garment worker at the time, as explained by Stephen from libcom.org, viewed the Haymarket Affair to be a pivotal moment in her personal life and the lives of many other anarchists.
Looking forward to 1892, Goldman had developed a relationship with Alexander Berkman, whom she confided in and made many works with. The Homestead conflict pushed this relationship to the max. The Homestead conflict, as detailed by AFL-CIO, was a violent laborers' strike that took place at Carnegie Steel as a result of wage cuts made by Henry Clay Frick. Frick brought in Pinkerton detectives to try and quietly end the strike, which is where the violence broke out. Although there were few deaths because of this violence, the Union suffered from a major setback. Following this, Goldman and Berkman came up with a plan to assassinate Frick out of revenge. Bush from the Jewish Current Archive explains that it was Berkman who shot Frick, attempting to kill him. Because of this, Berkman was sentenced to 22 years in jail, while Emma was arrested, but never served any jail time due to lack of evidence. She began to give many lectures regarding anarchism and how people like Frick make life harder for the oppressed working class.
It was these lectures that led to more violence and more of a reason for Goldman's name to be memorized. The assassination of President William McKinley shocked many upstanding and patriotic Americans. McKinley, despite having a rough first term because of the Spanish-American War, stepped into his second term as a popular candidate. According to PBS, on September 6, 1901, while the president was speaking in Buffalo, New York, he was shot twice in the abdomen. He died 8 days later due to gangrene from these wounds. Up until this point in history, only 2 American presidents had been assassinated, including Abraham Lincoln and James Garfield. Political violence at this scale was practically unheard of. This caused a major uprising in panic and hysteria across the country. McKinley's assassin, a man named Liam Kolgosh, was an anarchist himself, and this made it much more difficult for many anarchists to state their opinions. Many associated all people with slightly similar beliefs with this act of violence, tying them to a harmful stereotype that would not be abandoned for many years to come.
Goldman came to Czolgosz's defense in her book The Tragedy at Buffalo. Despite being arrested again after Czolgosz had credited her lectures to be his motive to kill, she was quickly released from custody once again due to lack of evidence. But Goldman had all the evidence she needed to keep fighting and writing defense for her cause, which is exactly what she did. She also continued to give lectures over workers' rights and controversial topics of women's rights. In these efforts, she was arrested for speaking on birth control in 1916, where she served 15 days. Criticism, legal issues, and hard work only pushed Goldman to keep fighting, even as the events targeted towards her kept unfolding.
During the height of the first Red Scare, another event, this time targeting immigrants, affected Goldman severely, known as the Palmer Raids. On June 2, 1919, a bomb was used to attack Attorney General A. Mitchell Palmer at his house in Washington, D.C. The Attorney General was not injured, but instead the person who was the person who conspired and placed the bomb, a male anarchist by the name of Carlo Valdinocci.
Many high-ranking officials and privileged American citizens already feared the actions of extreme anarchists, and this caused Attorney General Palmer to step into action. He appointed a man named J. Edgar Hoover to lead an investigation on the individuals responsible for the bombings. The investigation eventually spread to include the investigation of anyone who presented anarchist thoughts or opinions. Goldman was among the many people, being both an immigrant and a subscriber to anarchist beliefs, that Hoover ordered to be arrested for their opinion. The government was, according to Christopher M. Finnan, taking actions against anarchism in order to legislate it out of existence. They reached their height in January of 1920, when mass amounts of immigrants, specifically those from Russia, were rounded up, arrested, and immediately deported. Among them was Goldman. This shows how the result of hysteria after the acts of a small percentage of people resulted in the unnecessary harm of many people.
But Goldman herself only viewed this deportation to be an honor, and not as a defeat, as described in her book Deportation, Its Meaning and Menace, made one final time with Berkman. It was in this final document that Goldman's impact had been recognized fully. Deporting her was only a momentary silencer, since her work had already been loudly voiced.
Goldman died as she lived, a fighter, and without this fight, there's no telling how our society would operate, or even if it would.
We are able to see, through the work of silenced voices in a world of loud ones, such as Emma Goldman's, just how impactful societal reactions can be. Despite major backlash, Goldman forced her name on the tongues of many who would have never uttered a woman's name before. If not for her work on advocating for women and workers, then what would our world look like today? It is very likely that we wouldn't see women in the work field, including being taught by them. Goldman's obstacles only pushed her to keep excelling so that tomorrow's world would be a more fulfilling place for all. If not for a woman, who else could do it?